Let's see here. So I guess I'm going to be running this meeting unless Maggie, do you want to run this? You want me to run this?
You can run this.
So
I think also Marcos is in wanting to come on.
Yeah,
board.
yeah. I'm bringing him in.
Okay.
and Jason Heisey as well. Okay, call to order. The Affordable Housing Subcommittee of the Commission on Equitable Housing and Development meeting is now commenced. It is August 30th, 4 p.m. This meeting is being held virtually due to COVID-19 to allow for social distancing and to protect the public health. As we continue our efforts in meeting remotely, we ask all commissioners and guests to mute yourselves until called upon to speak to avoid feedback and background noise. For those who have dialed in using the call-in number to unmute to speak, dial *6 on your phone. Also, prior to speaking, announce who you are to identify yourself. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. Also, to comply with the state open meeting laws, attendance and votes will be done by way of roll call using audio, not by using the chat function. So roll call, Sharia Jimenez is absent. Jim Toffel, I'm here. Marianne Bierling is absent, and Maggie Amato Tejas.
Present.
Ex officio members, Corin Manning is absent. Marcos Ismail.
I'm here.
And Betty Villegas is absent. Okay, and then our other attendees, David Wall's absent. Sally Schwinn is absent. Joe Adino.
Present, thank you.
And Jason Heisey.
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
And Megan Headings is absent.
This is vacation week for everyone, I think.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a pretty quick meeting today. Okay, so the call to audience is the time when any member of the public may address the Affordable Housing Subcommittee. Due to time constraints, the total time allocated for this is 15 minutes, and individuals are allowed 3 minutes each. Due to open meeting laws, commission members cannot discuss topics not on the agenda, but items may be brought up by the public, may be considered as an agenda item for a future meeting. Joe, go ahead.
Thank you all for the time. Wanted to say thank you to those of you who came up and said hi at the groundbreaking for Milagros on Oracle. Was a nice event, and I hope that heralds kind of more involvement in the affordable housing space moving forward. We all know that it is something that's necessary. And also, gosh, just in case there are any members of the media that happen to be listening in, you know, as we get quotes from people with the city and in the affordable housing industry, I hope we also get ones from people who are activists working in the affordable housing space as well, who may have different ideas about affordable housing and how to go about things than we're used to, just in case, you know, anybody is thinking about that. And for anybody who doesn't know, my name is Joe Adino, and I'm with the Barrio Neighborhood Coalition. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak? By the way, Sarah, Marianne Bierling just sent us an email. She's trying to get in. I don't know if
I sent her a link.
Oh, thanks, Neto.
Mm-hmm.
There is one thing I would like to
real quick, Jim. Victoria had her hand up. It was a little delayed, so Victoria has her hand up.
All right, Victoria, go ahead and you speak, and then I'm going to say what I want to say. So for something that's not on the agenda.
Yeah, I think the current system is really baffling as far as generational wealth and segregation, gentrification, slumlords, and abuse of these lords, and not being able to ever confront them and what they do to these people and screwing up their credit, whatever, a lot of bad things have happened to a lot of people. And what we have is the inability to apply for these loans and the inability to actually ever make any kind of savings after the rent, after the bills, to be able to ever have anything for down payment assistance. So it looks like we're kind of stuck in permanent renter mode because people are never going to be able to have, the ability to even have like $10,000 for down payment assistance to put onto a $20,000 loan from the bank because of credit or whatever may be going on. So if we don't have like a network of people who understand segregation, gentrification, and the activities of slumlords in our neighborhoods, our people are never going to be able to access generational wealth. And I think that that's where we're stuck, or at least I'm stuck right now. So
Okay, thank you.
that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Okay, I would like to talk about one thing here that's not on the agenda. I'll spend a couple minutes on it. And that is about the housing conference, which occurred last week. So the Arizona State Housing Conference was at the JW Marriott. And the state released the 2024 qualified allocation plan right before the conference. So we spent a lot of time looking at the 22-23 QAP in terms of what the city needs to do to be successful in the awards. This is the first draft, so they're asking for comments and feedback in writing. I think the city needs to chime in on some of the changes shown. So the first change that's significant, and this is for the 2024 round, is projects must be under construction by March of 25. That is a very difficult thing to achieve because the awards usually come out. So the submittals are done in April, May, June. So July is when the awards typically come out. And so having 7 months to develop full CDs, get them approved, get them priced out, get all the financing in order, and start construction is practically impossible. So what it's going to force everybody to do is go at risk on starting CDs before the awards are made. Nobody's going to want to do that. And the penalty is pretty stiff because if they don't meet that date, the developer cannot submit for tax credits the following year. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on development services to review LIHTC projects very quickly to meet those dates. The second thing I think that's an impact to the city is the project-based rental assistance. So they've created a new point category where if the total percentage of units has project-based rental assistance or a federally funded operating subsidy, it's worth up to 40 points, which is a massive impact. And a lot of cities are not going to be able to meet that requirement. So basically what they're saying is 46% or more of the units have to have rental housing vouchers. And last time I talked to CEHT, they said they didn't really have more housing vouchers to be giving out like that. So this is something that we need to look at very carefully if we want to have more affordable housing projects coming to Tucson. So there was let's see here. I think the other impact was, so they got rid of the zip code restriction, which is good because 85705 was a zip code that, because there had been other projects there, was not getting points, and so it put the city of Tucson and the state at odds. There's still the let me see here. I thought that there was still the item where the city had to donate at least $500,000. I'm not seeing it, but I'm pretty sure that's in here. So I really think the big thing, the big change going forward though is these project-based vouchers and trying to figure out how the city can get more of those to new projects coming out of the ground, because I think that's going to be really the key in terms of getting affordable housing projects in Tucson for the next 2 years. So,
And Jim, I'll chime in real quick on that. So I know that Anne and Liz are working on a letter, I think kind of from the city on a couple of these things. I think there is an issue with the PBV thing because it's a matter of how many we get as well and other issues. So they're kind of working through those details, and they'll write a letter. Oh, go ahead.
I don't want to break open meeting laws here, so I don't think we can discuss this.
Okay.
But I want to bring it up, and Neto, I'm hoping that we can add this as a agenda item for the CEHD meeting next week.
Will do.
Okay, and then let's talk about it in that group.
Sounds good. And we've been reviewing it as well, just from a staff perspective. So sounds good. And we'll make sure we talk about it at the full commission meeting.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to speak?
Just cut me off anytime, Jim. Just time me out. Just do that anytime.
Jim, I just wanted to say that I finally got in on Mary Ann, so I'm in attendance.
Okay, so I can show Mary Ann's here too. Okay, so agenda item number 3 is the affordable housing inventory goal. I'm gonna share my screen. I should have sent this out. I apologize. Oh, hey Neto, can you set me up so I can share my screen? Neto, you there?
Yes, I am, and I'm setting you up.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. Okay, can you guys all see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my notes from our last meeting that we went through, where we're talking about what we should set as a goal for the number of affordable housing units in the city of Tucson. So this first information is basically a cut and paste from the National Low Income Housing Coalition's website it's a snapshot of the state of Arizona. These are the statistics that we discussed last time. So the deficit of affordable housing units in the city of Tucson for extremely low income is at 26,000, and at 50% of AMI, we're at 29,703. That's the deficit. So this is our current affordable housing supply. So the city of Tucson owns 1,489 units. We have 4,996 Section 8 units. We have 4,341 LIHTC and HUD 202 units for a total of 10,826. We have 1,882 units which are at risk of falling out of affordability. And currently in the development pipeline, we've got 1,192. So based on assuming that none of the units fall out of the affordability and all of these new units are developed, by 2025, we should have 12,018 units within the city. So what we talked about is, for our goals, if we set a goal of 2 9% projects per year within the city of Tucson, with an average unit count of 75, that should be roughly 150 apartments. If we set a goal of 4% bond deal per year, that, those typically are 200 to 300 units. So we said 200 units here, and then a total of 80 units with everything else. And that could be RAD, 202, choice neighborhood, home, affordable for sale units. So based on these assumptions, that would add 430 units per year. And assuming a 2 to 3 year development cycle for new projects, all projects in operation by 23 need to have funding commitments by 2028, which is 5 years. So based on these assumptions, the current supply stock is 10,826. We know there's 1,192 under development. With 430 units per year for 5 years, that's 2,150 for a total of 14,168 units. So with this goal, Tucson will fulfill roughly 10% of the deficit of our affordable housing deficit. And then but these are just some notes I put to myself. So I guess I'd like to just throw it out there for comments and questions and what you guys think about this. Is this something that we are ready to present to the entire commission? Do you guys, or do you want to, Mary Ann, Maggie, how do you guys feel about this? Marcos, Jason?
Well, I don't do light tech or, multifamily, so, but I think it's just a drop in the bucket. But I think it's a reasonable goal and probably even a little optimistic, but I say go for it.
You like kind of know what. Yeah.
Gabrielle?
Is it safe for me to say that, the city of Tucson is aiming to have 14,168 affordable housing units available by 2030? Aiming.
Well, this is what we're talking about is establishing a goal for the city of Tucson. So we need to, I guess, get consensus within this group, and then we'll bring it to the full Commission on Equitable Housing and Development for their approval, and then we'll provide that as a recommendation to mayor and council. So that's the process. So TBD, it could go up, could go down, but I think that's kind of where our head. This is where our heads were after last meeting.
So, Jim, this is Jason Heisey.
Hey, Jason.
So, just a couple comments on those numbers. So, if we're saying that we're only going to expect 2 9% deals in Tucson, you're talking about entities that rely on 9% credits largely to survive. Going to have 2 projects. With the city having their own development company, with Gorman, with us, with David, are we saying that we're only going to be able to support 2, or should we set a goal to try to achieve more than just 2 9% deals? My other point would be, with the floor of the 4% now, and with the department contributing and generating and creating some more soft money, I think 1 4% deal a year is light. I think people can do more than 1 4% deal a year. I think if the state continues to move towards the shovel-ready jobs, or the shovel-ready projects, moves towards providing gap financing, moves towards taking losing 9% deals and transforming them into 4% deals, I think there will be more 4% deals across the state, period. So I hear us, and I understand it's conservative, but number one, it's nowhere near meets the need. I mean, it doesn't even come close. And number two, I think it's a little light. I think we should look for more like 3 or 4% nines, or three to 4 nines, and work towards working with the state to make that happen, to not just settle for 2, or what's happened in the past, 1, or even some years 0. That we should be more aggressive and try to pursue 3 to 4 9s, and that I think we could do at least 2 4%. And again, if the city participated and and helped in those 4% processes, like I know we're benefiting from that right now at Sleepy Hollow, I think 4s will get done.
Marianne? Marianne, you're on mute.
The city of Phoenix has a goal of 50,000 for 2030. So, and I know there's a lot more opportunities and options, you know, up there in that area. But, you know, there could be some if the city of Tucson is setting a higher goal and the state is aware of it, you know, that may help. So, you know, maybe we do half that, 25,000 units by 2030. And also, I think that you know, it does need to include home ownership, and I also believe some more innovative housing and you know, more non-tax credit funded projects that may be smaller, but will definitely, you know, create more units.
So I kind of agree with both of you that it's better to probably shoot a little bit higher and try to use that as a way of figuring out how to get deals done. You know, the other thing I learned this last week was it's looking like the Affordable Housing Credit Improvement Act is more likely to get approved this time around, which is going to expand the tax credit program by an additional 50% over the next couple of years. So it's gonna generate a lot of additional tax credits. You know, so I think 2 projects a year roughly gets Tucson an equitable share of the tax credits. But if we know that the allocations are going to be increasing by 50%, I think it's perfectly fair to ask for 3, and then that should keep us equitable. The 4% I think are really tough in Tucson, and the feedback I talked to a number of developers about 4% deals in Tucson, and the feedback I've gotten from most of them is it's really difficult to make the numbers work down here because of the cost of construction, where interest rates are right now, and the area median incomes. Most of those deals just are not penciling out, and so the ones that do happen are going to need to have a lot of extra supplemental sources and financing. So I'm a little bit less comfortable with that, just because I don't know that, Jason, I'm not sure that that we're going to get a bunch of new ones coming in down here, is based on the feedback I'm hearing. Kenny?
Thanks, Jim. I'm supportive of the idea of like sharing it with the larger group. But I'm also thinking about that the 50,000 in Phoenix. You know, they're counting preservation of units as well, and I would like to see you know, if there's some way to make sure that's a part of the goal as well, right? You know, we shouldn't. You know, the hope is those units don't fall out of affordability. But by including it, maybe there's a way to advocate for more resources for that, or to really just find more pathways to make sure that does happen, rather than, you know, hoping for the best or taking for granted that they will remain affordable.
So what if we do something like that? Where we explicitly say we're anticipating that all units that are currently affordable are gonna stay affordable, and if units fall out of affordability, that means that these numbers need to go up.
I still
you
feel
show-
like that should,
Sorry. Just can you show me like the current supply, like 10,826, what is that made up of? So there's no home ownership units in there, and I don't know if is there a reason we're not counting, like, for instance, the land trust, because those are permanently affordable?
You have, I don't know that we've been able to define what that number is. Do you know what that number is?
It's 94 that I have, that land trust has, PCCLT, but, and we expect, to develop, I don't know, I guess within the next few years, another 25, I would say.
So that takes us to, I don't think we had that data from the city when they gave the presentation last month. So none of us had.
And I'll chime in real quick. I did mess up and got a little crazy with the Milagro closing, but I know that Maggie did provide me with the numbers, and I just didn't get a chance to forward them on to you, Jim.
Okay.
And as another aside, like, we also know that there's the Southern Arizona Land Trust SALT, right? They have affordable properties that aren't necessarily in what we capture. So we know that we're missing, some of those like other affordable projects that aren't necessarily in our system. So I think maybe we need to kind of come up with some sort of buffer of units that we know exist out there, but it's a little more difficult to really drill in. So I think we've just been focusing on what we know. But yeah, I do apologize, Maggie, for not passing that on.
That's
Sarah,
fine. And we also have, sorry, I'll shut up.
is it possible to get the SALT number too? So that we can add that?
Yeah, I can reach out to them
Okay.
and see, another example too is Habitat for Humanity, right? They also have an inventory
We
of
need to
homes.
get all of those.
Yep.
Yes. So kind of think about, and if you know of other organizations, like Marcos is raising his hand, he's probably going to chime in with some other ones, where they're just not captured in all the data that we have, but however we can start to accumulate it will be helpful for us.
Well, even if we get the Maggie's group SALT and Habitat for Humanity in there, that's at least giving us a number, and we not only what they currently have, but what they're planning would be good to know, because then we can add that to, like, if they're planning for what they're planning for the next 12 months and what they're planning for the next 5 years, including from you, Maggie, then we can add this to, what we're looking at and call it, and have, in this number, the 2030 goal, we should have, that goal listed, Jim, by itself under affordable home ownership.
So I think this other 80 units, when we talked about that last month, included the home ownership. We talked about adding home ownership as units and just kind of capturing it.
I think it should stand out on its own, because Maggie's been making the point over and over again that we roll over home ownership, and RAD and 202 and choice neighborhood and home aren't necessarily home ownership. And when I'm looking at it, I wouldn't think home ownership.
Okay, how's that?
So
Is 30 the right number?
Yeah, from us, but I think it would be a larger number if you include Habitat and SALT. And what SALT,
if you get those numbers.
Yeah. And then we also have rental units that are, I'm not sure if you're including them in your units, Sarah. So we've got 33 rentals, and they had different funding sources, so I'm not sure. And then some of those are being converted to home ownership, so it's kind of this changing number. but
So,
I can get that to you.
so another question to throw out here then, under your, can you scroll down a little bit, Jim? First of all, I don't think we can say that there are gonna be 0 units falling out of affordability, because a lot of developers end up selling because they make a huge profit. So I don't think that's reasonable. But I do think that what we could include under this list is the more innovative projects, like tiny homes, containers, stuff like that. Or we're gonna have to increase the 505 units, because again, what keeps being forgotten here is that you can do non-tax credit projects for, you know, up to 50 units and add to the housing stock. So if we had you know, 2 of those a year, there's another 100 units. And, you know, I think we need to push the city and the county for allowing for, allowing for that more than not going forward, because the parcels are smaller.
Gross.
Yeah, I had tend to agree with Jason's comments on the 4% LIHTC. I think, while it may not be likely we may see some coming on, I think we should have a goal of at least 2 4% projects. I mean, they're non-competitive, and to me, we should be trying to leverage some of the additional gap funding that is going to be available through the state with their historic allocation of the state general funds for affordable housing. I think we really need to push to leverage more gap funding, since those bonds at 4% credits have been historically underutilized. So I think that maybe with some additional gap funding, as you suggested, there could be some more 4% projects coming on. Home ownership, I think, I wanted to just chime in with the habitat and salt units. We have units, home ownership units that were supported with bond funds. Some of those date back to the late 90s, early 2000, before the recession. But I think a lot of those units were affordable by design. A lot of the single family homes were constructed with open carports, versus enclosed garages, and to blend in with the older neighborhoods that they were constructed in. So we have those numbers that we could provide, and then home ownership units that were created through the neighborhood stabilization program grants, I think maybe could be factored in as well, even though a lot of those are the affordability restrictions may be going away, but I think an argument can be made that a lot of those units are going to remain affordable to working families by their design. So yeah, I think I can look up some of the data that we have on those home ownership units, and all the home ownership units I believe that we funded with the bond funds were in the city of Tucson. And most of the NSP, there was a lot of NSP activity in the city of Tucson, that I think we might be missing some of those units.
I'm okay if we talk about this as a stretch goal. Marianne made the comment that we can't plan on having 0 units fall out of affordability. So we need to decide what that number should be. One thought I had on that is that, the new QAP gives a lot of points on rehabs if it's an existing LIHTC project. So they have for rehab projects, they have a strong preference to award projects which are currently affordable as an effort to
Okay,
reduce that
thank you.
number. So does anybody have thoughts
Okay,
on
thank you.
what that number should be? We know that there's 1,882 units which are at risk of falling out of affordability.
Well, couldn't it be part of our goal to the whole sustainability piece? I mean, in one of the presentations at the Arizona Housing Forum by the different cities in Arizona, the biggest takeaway was, we need money. If we're going to keep these affordable, you need money to, I don't know, I don't understand LIHTC, but either buy them out and also then rehab them. So, based on what you're saying, Jim, I'm wondering if we can make that as part of our goal too, is, we're gonna repurchase or whatever, a couple of those, those expiring projects. I don't know how that would work, but to minimize that. Is it 1,800 that are supposed to be falling out?
1,800 are at risk. A lot of what I see is that developers will sell the projects to themselves, create a new entity, sell the project to themselves, and then re-syndicate it typically using 4% tax credits.
So then they no longer are affordable?
No, they are, but they're not necessarily targeting 50% AMI. They're targeting 80% AMI. So it's not as affordable, but it is still affordable. That's
still pretty good. I think that right now it's not even affordable to people at 200% of AMI. I mean, it's a very crazy market. So I think anything we can do would help with those numbers.
Joe?
Yeah, just, we brought this up last time, and I think a couple other people have touched on it. It's almost like we're talking about two things. We can say, we don't expect to be able to keep all those units from falling out, but are we sending to our larger group of mayor and council what the expectations are going to be for the next few years? Or is this really goals? Because you can say the goal is 0. We don't think that there's a great chance of meeting that goal, but that's what we should strive. That's what we should be striving for. And if you meet all of the goals that are part of this, your goals are too low, right? That's my thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could just say, we could do something or say, well, we think there's going to be 200 units. We want to see less than 200 units fall out of affordability over the next 7 years or something like that. And I think that's probably still a stretch goal, but it might be more achievable. I mean, maybe it's setting a goal that we think is unachievable may not be the best thing in the world to do. So,
but maybe we can, when we set these goals, we also have to have a strategy, right? So I'm thinking maybe, incorporating some kind of a strategy to minimize that number as much as possible.
So what do you guys think about that? Saying that we think there's going to be we want to see less than 250 units fall out of affordability.
I think that's great, just as a way of making sure that's part of the conversation, whether that's having dedicated resources for that or finding creative ways to incentivize, renovations and whatnot.
I like that idea too.
Yeah.
Okay, so to summarize, I think where we are right now, so We'd like to see 3 9% projects with an average unit count of 75 units each per year, which is 225 units. We'd like to see 2 4% new construction light tech projects with an average unit count of 200 each. 50 houses with affordable home ownership, and then 50 with all of the other programs per year on average. So that would be an additional 725 units per year. So our current stock's 10,920. That includes what we know about. We're gonna double check this number. We know there's 1,192 under development. We're gonna try to keep units fewer than 250 units falling out of affordability. 725 times 5 is 3625. So that would be an affordable housing goal of 15,487 by 2030.
I think also the goal for homeownership, we need to probably get the, feedback from SALT and other entities. So I think that's also a number that may change.
Yeah,
Okay,
it could be higher.
Yeah.
It could be
And this is for
higher
the-
if we ask them what their goal is for the next 12 months and then the next 5 years. That's the best question to ask them. And on the other, can we put, instead of RAD 202 choice neighborhood home, can we just say non-tax credit there? And I think that we should be looking at 80 units. That's 2 projects, 2 small projects or 1 larger project, but let's get rid of the RAD 202, just say non-tax credit.
with an extra 150 units. Double check my math. Okay, how does this look to everybody? Okay, so the question I guess I have is, and this basically is, I don't know that we need to make a motion. So I'd just like to ask everybody's feedback. Is this something that you guys think we're ready to present to the overall commission? Or do we?
I do. Yes, I do.
You do?
Yeah, I think we've been talking about it for a while.
Kenny, you agree?
Yeah, in agreement, it'll be good for discussion of where we're starting and some of the conversation around it.
My expectation is they're gonna come up with a bunch of questions that we don't have the answer to. They'll kick it back down to the subcommittee and then we'll have to present it a second time to get it passed. Just based on previous experience. Okay, good. Well, thank you guys. Any other comments before we move to the next agenda item?
Yes, I do have a question. I'm just listening to the meeting, picking and choosing like what exactly I'm going to talk about for my 6 o'clock hit. And I know this was in the past item that before you got to this one, the rental assistance, just to understand, so the city needs 46% of affordable housing units to have, 46% of them have to have rental vouchers, but the city is running low on those. Is that correct?
So that was based off of the first draft of the 2024 QAP. So the comment I made is that if that's something that we don't feel like the city can obtain, they should write a letter to the state to request a change.
Right.
Because we're in the comment period right now for the new QAP.
Got you. Okay, so that's not really an issue right now, but it could be one in the future if that letter's not written.
Correct. Mary Ann?
Actually, it is an issue right now. The city ran out of vouchers and there's a lot of people in programs that are ending that are highly at risk of being homeless again. So I fell out of the Zoom meeting and just got back in, and Jim, you had talked about, do you think the letter is ready for council? And it won't be until we get other numbers in, but in that last couple of paragraphs in the letter, won't we need to change the amount of money that the city is going to need to use to participate in this? So,
Are you talking about the goal, or are you talking about
yeah, the goals. So the goals in the letter, when we were working on it, it listed how much money we think the city's going to have available. That's going to need to increase, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me share this again. We can look at that. Okay, so we said the average total development cost of new affordable housing units is between $360 and $380 per apartment when working with tax credits and bonds. It is less expensive to build without tax credit and bond funding. I don't know why this is relevant. I'm gonna take that out. Okay, in these cases, the unit. You know what? I think I need to wordsmith this a bit. The unit mix tends to be smaller, but works well on smaller parcels. This will translate into. Okay, sorry, guys.
Why?
Okay. This will translate to a total development cost of approximately $740 million, which this number is, you're right, is not accurate. So if we're saying 3,775 times $370,000, that's $1,396,097,000,000, which will require participation from the city of Tucson. Between 15 to 50 million. Note that the city of Tucson invests 2 million per year in the housing trust fund. That alone will provide funding of 10 million. The housing bond measure will move the city forward and make a significant contribution to developing affordable housing, quality housing, as well as help with the gap needed to do so. And this is no longer applicable.
Can you put that line you took out in and those two sentences, because those refer to non-tax credit, and I think we need to include that.
The one I just deleted?
No, the one you deleted before that, that had the fact that the smaller no, that's not it.
This one?
That had the smaller projects that aren't working with the tax credits are less expensive to produce, although they produce smaller units. They fit well on, yeah.
This?
So I think we need to do something with that, but I think that we need to include that.
Okay.
So, I again, I'm in support of not doing all tax credits in this time. And that we have smaller parcels that we can put housing on that are less expensive to build, and do add to the housing stock.
this okay, Marianne? Okay, I'll go ahead and send this out to the group. Joe?
Math question. Were you just multiplying the number of the addition of units that you had there by the development cost per unit?
Yes.
Okay, for the ones that we are concentrating on preserving, is that the same cost or is that a different cost per unit?
Oh, that's a different cost per unit.
So it's gonna be lower.
Yes.
Thank you.
Marianne, did you have another comment?
Sorry if that makes it more complicated.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I'll take that down.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or thoughts on this? So I'm gonna, Neto, if we can. I don't know if we need to add this as an agenda item to the next CEHD meeting, or if you just want to handle it through the subcommittee update. Do you have a preference?
Well, if it's going to take a substantial time, then it should be, I think, an independent item and not the update. But if you think it's just going to be very brief, sure, it can be handled through the update. So I'll kick it back to you, Jim. It's your choice.
Let's do it as a separate, agenda item.
Okay.
I'm gonna clean this document up a little bit.
Mhm.
And I will send it to you to forward out to the commission before our next meeting.
Will do. Thank you. And that would be by Friday, Jim.
That'll be on Friday, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Question,
Oh, sorry, Marianne.
will that include the additional home ownership units?
Yes, it's everything we just went through.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, our next agenda item is the HCD updates. Sarah?
I don't have anything in particular to update on. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. So, as you know, last week was really crazy. It was really good to see you there, Joe, at the groundbreaking. So thank you for coming. You'll come to all the future ones and eat more EGs and cookies with us. And you know, we will have a ribbon cutting for that as well. So lots of parties on the Milagro project as we move forward. And then we met the governor last week and we've been featured in a lot of the mayor's updates with the governor visiting. So there's definitely a lot going on right now and with the HUD and the choice grant. So we are keeping very, very busy here at HCD and trying to keep up on everything. So bear with us if you don't hear back from us right away, but keep bugging us. We are also just moving forward on a lot of the other development projects and things. Our home ownership projects are moving forward in some capacity as well. So also we'll be bringing on hopefully 14 more home ownership units in the next year as well. So that's really exciting. And then continuing work on a couple of other sites. So lots of work, lots of exciting things. And yeah, don't have any big updates other than that. And yeah.
Right. Any questions for Sarah? I thought the groundbreaking was a really nice event, by the way. I thought you guys did a good job and everybody, Ann did a good job speaking. Liz did a good job speaking. The mayor did a good job. So congratulations on that.
Even though it was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Luckily,
yeah.
it wasn't the hottest day of the year. We were really lucky to have been impacted by a natural hurricane, you know, cooling, I guess. But yeah, it was other than the timing, I think it was a really great event. So it really brought it to life for me. You know, there's a lot of work that goes into these housing projects. And, you know, to see the ground break and to see the pad and to see how much happens in such little time once you actually get going on these projects is really cool. And I think that's part of what we want EPHD to do as well, is to sort of, you know, show that and show how hard it is to develop affordable housing and, you know, and just what it takes and what it looks like. And also then with these LIHTC projects, how quick they are, right? And knowing that part of the reason why the ADOH wants to try to push these timelines is to get more projects in as quick as we can. But going through it ourselves, we've also realized what happens and how hard it is to, even with someone as savvy as myself trying to navigate our permitting process, it still was not as quick as I thought it could be. So we definitely have a lot of work to do on shoring some of those things up, right? And our permitting process and all that. So this has just been such a great opportunity to learn, to help improve. So yeah, and I'm glad to see your faces there, and we'll have lots of events, I'm sure, in the future to attend as well.
Okay. So, our next meetings, we have our next full commission meeting on the September 7th, which is next week. And the next Affordable Housing Subcommittee meeting is September 21st. Mary Ann? Mary Ann, you're on mute.
I will be in Hawaii for both of these, and as much as I love you guys, I am not calling in. So I will not be in the September meetings. And could somebody let Ernesto know that as well, please.
Yeah,
And I think I had a typo for the AHS. It's supposed to be the 20th. I apologize.
okay. I was gonna say, I have it on my
Wednesdays.
calendar the 20th.
Yeah, it's on Wednesdays. Sorry, that was my fault. So yeah, and then I think we will make sure too at our next CEHD meeting to officially get Kenny to, be the voting member. So we'll make sure that we add that to the agenda. And I believe Ray also wanted to be a part of this commission. So we'll be sure to sort of make sure that we do bolster up our voting members for the subcommittee as well.
Okay. Okay, any agenda items, any of the commissioners would like to see on our next meeting? Okay, well, if you think of something, please be sure to email us and we'll get it on here. So with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.